Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people.
Right.
You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese and France, Mickey? What? Boy, ale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah. I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success?
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Superhero Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
Scooby-Doo. Juniper Lee, that was it. That's the name of the show I was trying to remember. The Adventures
Scooby-Doo Mercury Lee?
No. I don't know why Scooby-Doo reminded me of what the name of it was.
We're 10 seconds into the show, and I derailed it by singing the second Scooby-Doo theme song before the show.
Sorry. Yes. Hi, I'm John.
That's Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We need some help for you now. But come on, get involved till the mystery is solved. Hang around for Scooby-Doo. The one where his cousin, Scooby-Dum, showed up.
Instead of his nephew, Scrappy-Doo?
That came later.
I was going to say, as long as there's no puppy power, because that was like...
That was the early 80s. This was, I believe, the late 70s, maybe possibly mid-70s.
Yeah, it's true. That was back when they were crossing over with Blue Falcon, right?
Yeah.
And they had the Harlem Globetrotters on and all these other guys.
They did the Harlem. I think that was after the Harlem Globetrotters and Batman and all that, but before Scrappy-Doo. Scooby-Doo was on forever.
Yeah, it has.
It's still on. And so, for those confused listening, the person who derailed us is JD.
As always.
No, I did with my Juniper Lee thing, but.
Oh, sure. You want credit when you do something wrong. Okay, I get it.
I do.
Is Scooby-Doo Lee too weird of an episode title?
That would confuse some people, yes.
It would.
Yes, especially what our main topic is. All right.
Scooby-Doo Lee. Huh? Yeah.
All right. And so since you guys are off the rails already, we'll start with JD. How was your week, sir?
Oh, not bad actually. Got a lot of work done. For the first time in 13 years, I don't have to shoot playoff high school football. I'm thrilled because I'll be warm and my pay doesn't go down at all from the season.
Nice.
Instead of freezing my nuts off, all winter. So yeah, I'm all right actually. Wrestling season starts in a couple weeks. Getting some good work done. New novels coming along nicely. I'm all right. How are you?
I'll go. Okay, we'll go John last. All right.
Yeah, we're going out of sequence this week.
Oh, okay, cool.
There are no rules. Everything.
I'm doing good. So you're the
up is down, left is right.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah. Has to be said.
I started watching a new show on Netflix. I don't know how new it is because everyone's already watched it, but I just discovered it. And
I haven't seen it, but that doesn't mean anything.
And I'll probably talk about it in the recommendations. So, because I actually have something to recommend. And then I watched a movie and fell asleep, and we'll talk about that. And
okay.
And something I'm not going to talk about on the show yet, but I had a really good day yesterday, and I'll just leave it at that.
Did you get laid?
No, not that good. Not that good.
But could we not, please?
Well, I just got excited for my man over here. He led me astray. I thought the booty came a knocking. I was wrong.
I
Sorry.
discovered shrooms.
Now I feel bad. Sorry. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's another kind of day.
Okay, I was okay. Fine, I'll say that I did meet someone, but we just met. So.
Oh. So I jumped 3 or 4 steps.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe 10 steps. I don't know. We'll find out. How about you, John? Have you gotten laid?
I wish this was still a video podcast because the look on O'Grady's face was priceless.
This one might have to get posted.
Oh, I
You know-
think goodbye.
You know,
That's the case.
so yeah, I've had an interesting week. I got Injustice in the mail finally, and I haven't watched it yet. I was too busy with some other animes, the fall season of anime and work. So, but yeah, I'm gonna watch the heck out of Injustice probably this weekend. Sit down with some popcorn and see how it turns out.
DC Injustice?
Yeah.
There's a cartoon of that?
Yes. It's an animation, not a cartoon.
Sorry,
it's an
Michael.
animation.
My
They're not dolls. They're they're action figures. Damn.
We're cutting we're cutting close here, but I having little kids makes you so out of tune with things that if you're not constantly on top of things, they can slip by you, and you're like, "What? Really? That happened?"
Yeah.
No.
I regularly do a search on Amazon for any new DC properties coming out.
Let me know how that is. I'm actually very curious about that.
They've been hit or miss lately, but
I think there are a lot of them are hit or miss, so that's why I'm curious.
Didn't we already see it was called Brightburn?
Well, no, we already saw it. It's called Justice League Injustice, right? It's like Injustice.
Well, that's
League, whatever.
exactly. They did that. They also did that as well. Yep.
And Bruce Timm has done it already, and it's been done to death, really. So
even Superman is something that I'm quite over.
Yeah, like zombies. Like we're done
Also
with
over
zombies.
Also over zombies. We'll never be over vampires ever.
No, not as long as you want to sell books.
How is your novelette thing going?
Pretty good. I mean, Kindles are weird. The Kindle Bellas are weird. I'm not tracking it because everyone I see is like, "Oh my god, my Kindle Vella numbers are terrible." So I assume they all suck. So my plan is I'm just going to keep releasing it like this, and I'm not even going to care who's reading it. And if it's done and it does well, cool. If not, I'm just going to take all these chapters and put it out as a book on its own. So this is in the end of the day, it's like this is a different experiment on writing a novel. So I'm having fun with it, which is all I care about at the moment. We're experimenting with a new platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have I can't
Gotta
remember.
take chances.
Do you have a plan on how many chapters you're going?
Vaguely, because I'm basing it off the outline of the novel, of the the graphic novel. Excuse me. So based on I'm pretty much just wrapped up the first issue, and that was like 6 chapters. So based on that, there's what is it, 4, 6, 7, 4, 24. But I think I have some ideas for places I could go that I didn't have before, and I'm just gonna, I don't know, we'll let it go. It's not gonna be as long as my normal novels. I'm anticipating probably, I don't know, 30, 40,000 words on this one.
Okay.
Not super long.
That's a lot of words.
No, it's really not. Like a normal novel's like 85,000 words. That's like your average novel. Like the high fantasy stuff like that is it's like 200,000. Like a Game of Thrones or something like that.
Yeah,
or Wheel
that's
of
true.
Time. Those things that's like the Bible.
Or a Dune.
Or Dune. Dune is also long.
That's very long.
So I can't complain.
Cool.
I'm wondering how this review session is going to go. Actually, I'm not. So yeah.
So John, anything else besides we got sidetracked again? Anything besides Injustice? Were you done?
Yeah, no, I'm really done. Just we might have guest star come on once or twice because we're having a massive nor'easter come through over the next 24 hours, and my cats are ticked that I'm keeping them in.
Yes.
So otherwise, nothing really.
All right. Well, then you know what that means, guys. It's time for social media madness.
Yeah.
It's I kept it short this week. So the first one, I don't know why the link didn't work in the email, so I had to cut and paste. But because I sent something that came up right before we recorded, we had talked about Marvel pushing all their movies back for 2022, and
That's where we're starting.
Shadow Walker, the Rabbit Demon, said, we haven't heard from Shadow Walker in a while, so I had to include it. Just moved 2022 movies to Disney Plus and skip theaters. So,
I don't hate that idea, but I think Disney hates that idea.
Yeah. Well, I think movie companies that want to make money hate that idea.
Well, plus they've already written the contracts up, and Scarlett and the rest, they've already taken them to task on that. So I don't think they're going to. They'd have to renegotiate everything now, or else face more wrath.
This is not a time for anyone in Hollywood to want to renegotiate anything.
Yeah.
No.
More on that later.
No, we talked about it last week too, right?
Oh, it's worse now.
Huh. All right.
We're talking about the Alec Baldwin thing, right? That's what I'm meaning.
Oh.
No,
yeah.
but I know about it. We'll get. Yeah, we'll
let's save that. It was not in the notes, but that relates to the other stuff that's in the notes that you can't talk about without touching on that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and that was horrible. All right,
Horrible.
we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, so we had talked about, we got our first actual look at Black Adam, which the Ocho Dorle Hour podcast said, great Injustice 3 trailer.
See? But Black Adam has a distinct, storyline, so it should be interesting. I mean, as long as they do it justice. Or in Injustice.
Waka waka.
I did a funny.
And it never fails, guys. It never fails. You talk about Batman, everyone chimes in.
Yes. That's why they keep doing Batman stuff.
He's got to be the most popular character.
Oh, I don't think without a doubt. I don't think it could even be argued.
So, of course, we talked about the Pattinson Batman movie. So, I wanted to shout out, before we get into this, to Tiff from Fans of Patrol, who, in the latest episode, coined Battison. And I'm like,
I didn't think of that.
And I was going to say, I was so pissed, like, wait a minute. How come no one has thought about Battison yet?
It's right there.
Exactly.
I'm so mad at me.
Well played.
So I'm
good.
giving her credit. Yes.
Yeah, kudos.
Mm-hmm.
So Random Randy Savage said, someone is trying to out edgelord Zack Snyder, and the only way is to get mad. Big mad.
It's hard to argue that point.
The gif of, what's his name?
Jim Carrey as Ace Ventura.
Yes. Chewing a huge mound of gum is awesome.
It's not possible to out edgelord.
The king of the edgelords? No, we can only hope to try.
Oh my God. Again, Ocho ODPH said, dark, gritty, and feels like classic Frank Miller. Which kind of, it's
That's what they're going for.
As I was saying, they're going for the year one stuff, right? That Miller wrote. So, exactly. So they hit the nail on the head, I would say.
If the Nolan stuff seemed very Loban Sale, this definitely has the Miller Mazzucchelli edge to it.
Yeah. It still feels overplayed.
Possibly. A lot of Batman is overplayed, though. So
yeah, I know, but there's good overplayed, and then there's then there's like Lego Batman overplayed darkness. No parents.
You might be one of the only people I know who does not like that trailer.
I could be wrong. I don't know, but it just seemed like it took itself way, way too seriously,
And so does Batman. That's where I keep coming back to. Is like Batman, like everyone the editors at DC take him super seriously.
True,
he's
but
not allowed to sit down. I get where you're coming from, but I feel like this is kind of what Batman is.
I know, but Nolan was like
Nolan also took him very seriously.
Right, but
no jokes
but it worked.
Cracked.
Right, but it worked.
Yeah, but we don't know if this does it yet.
I know.
It's hard. It's hard to judge it based off of trailers because most trailers suck.
It just seems like we're going from the 1960s Batman, Adam West Batman, to we're going to find that other polar opposite at some point.
But isn't that what we did though? We went from Adam West to Michael Keaton, and in 1989, that did feel like a opposite.
I know, but now looking back on it, it's still kind of goofy.
Yes, you're 100% right. 89 Batman, in retrospect, super goofy. Tim Burton. But at the time, it didn't feel that. And you have to judge things in the era in which they were created.
True.
Yes.
Right?
So we're in a really dark place right now, is what you're saying.
There's a lot of...
Yeah, have you been outside lately? It's a fucking pandemic killing millions of people.
There's a lot of things, too, that you probably loved when you were a kid or when you were younger, that if you look back on them now, you'd be like, man, this is goofy.
Yeah. Did I watch a lot of
Goofy especially.
Goofy. Yeah. Goofy's a great example of that. I watched a lot of cartoons with my kid that some have aged pretty good and some have not. Like I was watching Scooby-Doo with Andy before. That's how I got in that whole kick. What a great, well-written show.
Yeah.
Right? And it gets kids to start to question the motivations of ghosts and it's never a ghost. It's always some evil rich guy looking to scam people out of money. What a great message to impart to kids to hate rich people.
Teaches critical thinking.
It teaches critical thinking skills. Right?
Oh my God.
It makes you suspect the man. It's great left-wing indoctrination. It's perfect. It's brilliant in everything that I feel like I need to impart onto my kid.
Okay, moving on. James Gorgon said, I like what I've seen so far. Not crazy about the cowl, but it could develop over the course of the movie.
Is it me, or are people like super critical on what the cowl looks like no matter what is done with it?
Yes. If they do tall ears, if they do short ears, I know.
If they do bat nipples and the cod piece,
nipples is a different story. Like,
I know
the nipples was a bit,
And the thing,
go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
The thing with the cow too is like the debates even has been going on in the comics. It's not just a movie thing,
right? It's like because remember people freaked out when Kelly Jones had like the 10-foot ears, and then Jim Lee's are like little pooky things that just pop out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't care. Like it's never bothered me what the cowl looks like. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
I mean, he's already got a cape, so any bad guy could just grab the cape and choke him. So
as we've learned in The Incredibles.
Yeah.
Boo World Order, Stu World Order said, looks fine. I could take it or leave it. That's then maybe that's along the line what John is saying. And the pop culture hootenanny said,
that is a great name. I hope they listen. Kudos to you, sir. Man.
It's like the most Batman and not. It's like it's mostly Batman and not so much Bruce Wayne so far. Anyway, we talked about that.
We talked about that. Yeah, I feel it's a flaw in a lot of Batman, but I don't want to rehash that right now.
Yeah, and then finally, Christopher Truitt said, "In the suit looks good. Out of the suit looks a bit emo to me." See, I'm not the only one that said that. Looks a bit emo. So ha. I feel vindicated.
I feel a lot of people are going to say that because of his hair, right? And in the one shot, he's got the black around his eyes, so that also lends credence to it. But emo hasn't been a thing since like 2007.
Oh, stop it!
It hasn't. Like Yellow Card isn't playing anymore.
Not since South Park made fun of it. That's the only emo that's left of those emo kids on South Park. That's it.
I can't think of any of those emo bands now. Fall Out Boy. They're
Linkin Park.
Oh my god.
No, that's before emo. Linkin Park was
true. They've been around
post grunge stuff. Yeah, that's like new metal. Linkin Park was metal. Dashboard Confessional.
I don't know, because isn't the godfather of emo The Cure?
Yes. 100%. Robert Smith is absolutely the godfather, but it takes a little while for your influence to be like felt, right?
Yeah.
My Chemical Romance.
There you go. That is an emo band. Yes,
definitely.
That's it. That's all I've got in emo. Like you just reached the bottom of my well on that. I'm
done. Yeah. Well, not to harp on it too. I am so tired of the black makeup around the eyes. When I saw him riding the motorcycle and he had the glass lenses on, I'm like, oh cool, they're finally going to do that, because they've done that in the comics where he's got lenses in there as opposed to just to obfuscate his eyes, as opposed to putting black makeup around, because
he's supposed to be using augmented reality these days, right? Like that's part of his equipment.
Like why? Like I just don't get, like, why would he take the time to put black makeup around his eyes all the time? He'd find a better way to do it. So, and
at some point he's going to forget to take off the makeup when he switches to,
or he's going to or at some point he's going to forget to put it on, and it's just like, if that bat signal goes up, he's got to go. So anyway,
speaking of gotta go,
on that note, if you want to know how you can follow us on social media and be part of Social Media Madness and hear some other great podcasts in the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network, here's our good friend D Squared to tell you more.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of Social Media Madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often, because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for hashtag GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
All right, thanks for that, Don. And don't forget to check out the Omega Level Nerds podcast, available on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. And no one knows why I am laughing right now.
Why is that so funny? I don't understand that. I really do not have any clue.
For those listening, JD walked out and then he stuck his head in the door and saw that I was still talking and walked away. All right.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
On that note, we're going to take our first commercial break and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Sorry.
All right.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. Do you mind if
my Momo? Oh.
Do you mind if I insert something in the beginning of this first?
Is that your pickup line?
You in the audience can't see it now, but I have the most stinkiest stink eye that I am giving this.
Oh, I thought you were going to say erection.
All right, boys and girls, and we're back from commercial.
I am trying so hard right now.
Damn it!
Shut up!
I can't cut any of this out.
I know.
Stop.
This has to
I'm
be
trying to be
included.
serious here, for crying out loud.
I know.
Just for 1 second. All right. So I'm taking over for just a second. All right.
Oh God, here we go.
Another one.
All right.
John. Go ahead, John. Proceed.
God, how do I even Okay. So a while back, Hiromi Tsuru, the voice of Bulma on Dragon Ball Z, she passed away a couple of years back.
Okay.
And just this past week, Chris Iries, I think was his name. He was the voice of Frieza, and he just passed away at 56.
That's young.
It is, and it sucks.
That's super young. That's way too young.
And
that is weird because the actor who played Gunther,
he also passed away,
and he was like 56 when he passed away.
Yeah,
I don't want to be in the show.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to make sure that that doesn't go unremarked, because Dragon Ball has been around since the early 80s, the manga for longer, I think. And they just finished Dragon Ball Super a couple of years ago, and they're going to start another one, I think, and another full series, and they've already got movies coming out, and it's still going strong. And they're in the land of like The Simpsons, right? You're starting to worry about the voice actors on The Simpsons passing away from just old age at this point. Same thing with the Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball is such an iconic anime. It's like one of the holy three, it's Dragon Ball, Naruto, and One Piece, but One Piece is never going to end. So it's, I find it very sad that he passed away. So I wanted to make sure we said something.
Gunther from Friends died?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. When did that happen recently too? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
He had been fighting cancer for a couple of years, I guess.
Yeah.
And kept it quiet.
Shit, that's terrible.
And Chris Iries, he died from COPD and emphysema.
All right.
So yeah, just a shout out to all the Dragon Ball Z fans out there, and there are a ton of them.
There are.
So
it's still popular with kids, and like I still hear young people talking about Dragon Ball Z. Like that's a cultural touchstone.
Oh, and the last couple of episodes of Dragon Ball Super, they filled stadiums with people. And it you never heard that much cheering, even during soccer tournaments. It's like,
that's a shame.
All right, so so John brought the house down. Let's.
I tried. I derailed, and John made us feel bad. Now I feel bad for making dick jokes. Jeez.
No, never feel bad for making dick jokes.
Anyway, so yeah, we
feel bad for being a dick. There's a difference.
We can go on.
I probably should try that at some point.
Yeah, right. So widen your vistas, man.
All right. So
is that another pickup line?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Bang. I gotcha.
let's
Hey baby.
let's get back to the news. So
Farquad.
So guys, recently I went to New York Comic Con.
Yes.
And while I was there, I got an exciting opportunity. I basically interviewed like the entire cast of a show that used to be on. Why the Last Man?
Why was it on?
So apparently over the weekend, I mean, and they're in the middle of the first season. I think 7 episodes have been aired so far out of 10.
That's bad.
And all of a sudden, one of the head writers tweeted out like, "Oh, apparently we're canceled." Like
something.
Well, I want you to think about something.
Firefly.
That's the thing, though. But John, this used to happen all the time when shows would get canceled. Nothing gets canceled anymore. Nothing, especially on streaming, gets canceled.
Yeah, no, especially on like Netflix never cancels anything.
Right.
They greenlight everything.
And they finish it. They're like, okay, this season is up. It's a thing.
Right.
We'll move on. Like nothing ever gets like canceled.
Or even when the show's, in the middle of the first season, like they just let it play out, and they're just like they don't say anything until people start asking, "Where's season 2?"
Right, and they go, "Oh yeah, we're not doing that."
Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird.
I did it. It's my fault.
So
I'm the one who came on here when we started talking about that show, and I said, I don't know why anybody would want to watch this.
Apparently, you were right.
They're going to wrap up the first season that does say on November 1st, and there is no plans to renew for season 2. And The
Last Man lost its relevance in today's culture. Like 20 years ago, it was a pretty big comic. So but I can see it being not interesting today.
It's true. We have a lot bigger fish to fry these days, and that kind of that cultural touchstone hasn't really. It's kind of.
That's what I'm saying.
No. So here's the thing, and you guys haven't watched the show. I haven't watched it either, but I talked to the head writer, the producer, and the cast, and it might be twofold, and I don't know. And but they took the world of Why the Last Man and tried to make it more relevant to things that are going on today. And in some ways it works, and I do think it's the right platform for what they did. But that's where I think the problem is I'm hearing from people that are fans of the book that they changed too much from the source. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe it just didn't find its audience because of that, Well,
that goes right back to what JD was saying. Is it relevant anymore? And if you have to change it so much that the fans of it can't identify with it anymore, then it might not be relevant enough in this age.
I think it's a combination of those things. Like, not only, I don't know if it's relevant anymore. I don't know if the changes that were made helped it find a different, I mean, clearly not. The changes they made it relevant to a different audience. And it didn't seem like it was promoted very well. Like, this is a Hulu show, right?
FX,
Yeah, FX on Hulu, yeah.
So, I mean, like, it wasn't like Warner was really behind it.
Yeah.
It's like, it just seemed like a perfect storm of not going to work.
Nope. Sorry. I'm doing research and a video pops up. Sorry. Go on. You were saying.
The faces. Oh. Uh-oh.
Wow. He's so mad he just walked off set.
Anyway. So, yes. The problem is if you're not sure if you're going to find a new audience and you do alienate your core audience, that's a problem. I just have to know like how bad the ratings were for them to just decide while the first season's on, we're canceling this.
It's FX and
and I don't even know how
streaming service. They won't I don't know.
They don't release their numbers, and who knows how they even judge things on that. I have no idea.
Now they're gonna have to find another place to put Diane Lane. Damn it.
Isn't she in your heart?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because JD knows about Diane Lane being in your heart.
Oh, Diane Lane's hot.
She's 56 years old, and she is like still one of the most.
I thought you were going to tell me she was dead too at 56.
No.
I was about to write a book. I'm like, what is going on?
No.
JD's new book, 56.
56.
You'd have the black roses behind me right now, and my Diane board would be up.
So she's still a couple years younger than you, right, John?
Everybody's
Dude, we should
younger
all
than
look.
me.
We should all look so great at 56,
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
right?
But anyway, yeah. Okay. So why the last man? That she was in that. Now she has to find another place to go. But
She'll find work. She's always managed to rebound. She was in Brightburn.
and she's still a good actress too.
She's always been very talented.
Yeah.
Right. That's never been an issue.
Yes.
But yeah. So why Last Man? Maybe not relevant anymore because they tried to change it in order to be relevant, which means it wasn't relevant.
Yeah. It just didn't work. You know, the audience didn't want it.
Yeah. I'm still releasing those interviews soon, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, why not? I'll tell you what the audience
Poor
does
people.
really want.
What's that?
Everyone I've talked to really is digging on this Cowboy Bebop adaptation.
Yes, it looks really good. So I wanted to include it because I want our anime expert to weigh in on this preview because first off, I don't get the whole like screen splitting thing. Is that something from the cartoon? Because I'm sorry, the anime, because I've never watched it, but I've heard it's really good.
Not really, but it's the old timey thing. Like they're really going hard with making it feel like the original anime almost, and the dialogue, and they're true to the storyline. Like almost every episode ends with them sitting in the spaceship, having not being able to collect on their bounty. So yeah, I mean, it feels good. I guess we'll see when it comes out, but I heard somebody say that they could have done a better job with the audio because it was a little bit crunchy around the dialogue, but
I think it was supposed to be.
I think it was.
Yeah,
they did that on purpose.
It could be choice.
They could clean up a little bit so you could still hear, like, because in some of the action you might have, but otherwise, they've got the feel that like Netflix really threw money at that. They must have to make it look like that and make it feel like that.
They believe in it clearly.
Yeah. And all like you were mentioning, Dave, all that panel switching and everything, but turning it into an actual device in the storytelling in the trailer. Whew, nice. I mean, really cool. And almost Deadpoolish.
This is cool, man.
I have to be honest. I'm not sure who the other two actors are, but John Cho. Sorry, John Cho. He looks amazing in this. Like, he's such a good actor.
Like their counterpart.
Yeah,
like their anime
it's
counterparts.
I'm definitely. I've never watched the original anime, but I'm definitely going to check this out.
I'll tell you what, this thing is going to win some Emmys for as far as art direction and stuff like that goes. Like,
I think so.
Super impressed with this. I'll tell you, there's nothing on TV that looks like this.
No.
So that in itself, this is like breathtaking. I'm very excited about this show.
It's nice that they took the chance, like they just said, you've got a vision and you want to make it, you want to keep the fans happy because that's what guarantees that this is going to make bank for them. I mean, yeah.
It's because back in the day, sorry, Dave.
But I'm saying I'm excited for this, and there's a bad track record of doing live action anime adaptations.
Oh gods, yeah.
And
Attack on Titan.
What I was going to say is like there's so many examples of like companies trying to sanitize or homogenize these wild ass concepts to cast as large a net as possible. And we've talked about this in the show before, how you don't need to cast a wide net to be successful anymore. You can cast a niche net. And if you create some fanatic fans, like, you're going to be all right.
Especially like the anime fans and like, or their counterparts, some of them are both science fiction fans or, Marvel, DC fans. Like, those are not small groups of people. So if you can keep them happy and you give them something that they like, you are guaranteed a certain amount of money, and it's a big amount of money.
Well, Netflix kind of needs a hit. Like Squid Game did very well for them, but it's not been their best year, right? So
except for Squid Game, and like Squid Game made their year, but that was it.
It did, but they used to have 3 or 4 hits a year, and this year they've got kind of a one.
Yeah,
because Queen's Gambit was a big one, but that was last year. Right. So I feel like they need something else to kind of stick the landing. And if this and Sandman stick landings, all of a sudden Netflix is, people are back on, oh, wow, Netflix is amazing stuff again. And
Sandman's another gamble because
Sandman is a gamble.
The content of that is like
dense,
and it's also not mainstream,
It isn't. It isn't. I mean, like, I don't know if we need it. Like I said before, I don't know if we need to chase the quote unquote mainstream anymore, because what's nerdy is mainstream.
True, but even in the nerd quarter, there's that is still like its own corner in the nerd corner, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I think people are more appreciative to some out there concepts now and don't need it, like, spoken down to.
Yeah.
Right. Like Good Omens did really well.
Good Omens.
So
that was a great adaptation. I really enjoyed that.
And 2 is coming out. They're working on that. So
that should be fun.
Yeah.
It's about time. It feels like forever ago.
It's been like 4 years, I want to say.
Yeah. I'm really sad because they had Dirk Hentley's Holistic Detective Agency. That was out too. And I guess that just kind of disappeared.
It did.
I liked it. It was good. Both seasons were really good.
Sometimes, well, you're getting 2 seasons on things that 10 years ago probably wouldn't have gotten a full season.
Yeah.
So we're living in an era where at least creators can tell stories. That's good.
Unless it's Why the Last Man. All right.
Which makes that so weird. It's crazy.
It is. I wish Hulu would release numbers. I'm curious.
They must have been just awful. They must have been something where nobody would have nobody would have noticed it.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are gone but not forgotten.
Yeah.
Okay, so given the last he said she said with Warner Brothers,
how did that go on?
With Ray Fisher, I kind of said, I don't really want to, and there was some weirdness around this, and I'm like, I don't really want to talk about it. But after this weekend, I'm like, all right, everyone's going to be talking about this Ruby Rose thing. So I figured, let's bring it to the show. So at this point, as far as I know, everything that I've read, she put a post on social media basically bashing the production staff, the director, and some of the actors on the show, saying there was abuse and whatnot going on.
Unsafe work environment too.
Unsafe work environment. Apparently it was countered with Warner Brothers coming out and saying, no, that is not true. And she was actually fired from the show, but we were keeping that quiet. And now the actors that she came back, and they're now basically saying no, she was terrible to work with. She was fired, and all of her accusations are false. So this is a cluster if I've ever seen one.
And with everything else that's going on, to add flavor to this, it's kind of, the revelation that they all work way, way long to the general public, the revelation that they all work way too long hours, and that they had all those negotiations for new pay and weekends and all that just lately. And so everybody's thinking that what Ruby Rose was saying, kind of jives with what we've been told. And then now we're hearing the other side of it, and you're like, okay, so either she's lying or 5-10 people are lying, and it's starting to sound bad.
I think the truth probably lands somewhere in the middle,
as it usually does.
I think she just wasn't up to the challenge of being the lead on a show like this.
But she said something like that in an interview way back when, that as the filming was starting, that she wasn't used to the hours, and it was such a different environment than making a movie.
But I mean, it sounds like she probably took that out on set to people, and maybe there was complaints that she got fired. What I find fascinating is that it's my guess, and JD, you can chime in on this. And something like this, they have a contract, so they had to buy her out of her contract, and probably part of buying her out of the contract was signing an NDA. No one's going to talk about this, but then she broke it by jumping on social media and complaining. So that's why Warner Brothers was free to come back and say, well, no, the truth is she was actually fired.
And she did break her neck too. That also might have played a part in it. You get kind of ornery when you're in pain from a broken neck.
Here's the thing though, is that's going to work, right? That's what these people do. They're going to work. And when you go to work every day, you don't expect to break your neck, right? And there's a lot of people that are going to be more okay with that than others. When I say that, I mean, there's people that come from a background, like an athletic background or a stunt background, where them's the breaks. But if you go into the acting profession, you really don't think about putting your body on the line for something like this. So based on the fact that she broke her neck, which is that's a legitimately scary injury, right? A broken neck could, depending on the type of broken neck, could kill someone. Right.
And it requires a long time of recuperation.
A lot of recuperation, could be surgeries in the future. Who knows how it heals? Broken, because from the neck down, like I said, as a guy with the herniation in C5, C6, I got to be careful about stuff. I have to make sure I maintain, neck strength, flexibility at all times. Right. I chose that path. When you go into acting, that's not really the path you choose, especially when people throw the money at you. Hey, superhero. It's like, all right, I'm going to get in on this. And then you kind of find out this isn't quite what you had in mind. Now, from there on, everything else is like, it is very he said, she said. I said before, I want to pull this into something else. I do want to steer this in the direction of what happened this weekend on the side of the film set Rust, right? Where Alec Baldwin inadvertently shot Helena Hutchins, the DP of that movie.
Thank you for saying her name.
No problem. I having indie film is something that I was pretty involved with in my 20s. My cousin and best friend he's in the Directors Guild of America, and I texted him right away when I found him. I say, man, what do you know? Because he's in the loop with all that stuff, and he didn't know a whole lot, but we were talking about what was going on, and he's like, this is what happens on a lot of these low budget shows, right? And I'm going to relate this in a second. Is in order to make your day and stay under budget, people cut corners. Right. And in that movie, they said, like the camera crew specifically said, safety requirements are not being met. You were not using union prop people, which again, not saying that you have to use all union things, but you're going to get better stuff when you hire the union guys. And SAG's remarkably open to working with non-union projects, more so than they probably should be. So they had an unsafe working environment, and Alec Baldwin fired a gun while practicing. Murder is a bad word, inadvertently killed, Helena Hutchins, right?
Was it the assistant director who?
The director caught some. I don't know if it was ricochet or the bullet passed through.
Right, but I think it was the assistant director who had handed him the gun.
It was just the AD. The AD handed him the gun.
The AD, and he has. It's come out now. He has a history. He was fired from another project or something, and
there's a lot going on in this one. And I guess it was said the crew were using the guns to go shoot stuff at night in Santa Fe, and they were cutting. And again, when you work on film, this is one of the things that pushed me away. There's 13 to 15, 18 hours a day on a set is pretty common.
Yeah.
When you're working on, right? When you're in the crew, those are long days, and they have I say this because I have friends that still do this. They have a very vagabond Bedouin lifestyle, right? Is like those become your family, right? The people that you're on set with, and you kind of move from one show to the next, and that's just.
And Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's, they literally became family.
That happens a lot, man. Like in these crews, the hours are way longer traditionally than even actors have, right? And so you got to make sure mistakes don't happen, because these things do turn up. And like what I'm relating to this with her is like, an actor's not supposed to break his neck on the set or their neck on the set. And it happened. Right, a DP isn't supposed to die in the making of the movie. It's like I'm not the first person, but everybody's talking about Brandon Lee again. Like in this day and age, there's really no reason to use blanks, right? You can do all that stuff.
I actually have a friend who that's what he does for a living is props, and he's a prop master, and he's shown me his fake guns. He's like, I don't use blanks. Like, it looks like a real gun. You pull the trigger, it looks like your thing, and you just add everything else digitally nowadays. It's like there is no need for a gun that fires as a prop gun.
And regardless of blanks, they should never have had real bullets.
No.
Why did they have real bullets on set anywhere near that set?
So that is going to be a major question, because they said that again, there's a lot of he said, she said going on. When actual investigations are done, we'll have a clear picture. But they were saying the crew at night was having beers and going out and firing the guns.
So
I heard. Sorry, Dave. Just one thing.
Go ahead.
I heard that the person who is in charge, the armorer, I guess, the armory person,
the armorer. That's the guy who directly handles the gun.
Yeah, but it's a woman. I don't have her name. I can't find it. But she's like the daughter of a legendary armory guy from in moviedom, and she apparently had nothing to do with it, because it was that assistant director that had who was like skipping all of the procedures and everything, and just handed Alec Baldwin the gun unbeknownst to her.
So what probably happened is you have a UPM with the Univer production manager They have a short budget. They have a short time window when this movie has to get made. I bet it was way low budget, and they were trying to do way too much, and they were cutting corners. And the AD was probably here getting whip crack from the UPM on top of them, going, come on, we gotta go, come on. And it got sloppy. This is what happens when you don't take the right precautions. And the fact that the armorer never touched the gun is a gigantic problem. And you know who's gonna, even though Alec Baldwin didn't mean to do this, he's going to wind up, incurring a good chunk of liability because of the accident and because he's a producer on it. So when eventual lawsuits get filed, his name will be attached to that, which is unfortunate because now he's going to have a double whammy of guilt on him.
So yeah, no, and he's got to live with it for the rest of his life, and it's terrible. That's the tragedy of it. But I will say this, and I don't care what people's take is. If you're ever in a situation like this, like if you're an actor and you're going to be in a movie that's going to have guns involved, you should take a gun safety class before you set foot on that set. Always, like a real gun safety class that has a test at the end that you make sure you pass it, because I'm not saying it would have changed anything, but it may have made him a little more cautious about it. Oh,
and he's a veteran. He's 68, so he's been on these film sets handling, prop guns for 30 years, maybe more. So
but you can always get a refresher on.
You are 100% right, and I think that in our country, you guys know where I fall on things. I think that we've let guns become too much of a political issue to the point where people like you're either like super gun, like you're those dudes who are walking into Starbucks with strapped, or you're someone who's absolutely afraid of a gun who won't touch one and won't learn anything about it because of that. And there's not like a healthy center spot where you need to actually learn and understand how these things go. I'm not a gun guy. I don't want to go hunting. It's not my thing, but I know in my family, there are people that are. My father-in-law, a hunter. My kid's going to learn I know for a fact, I don't have no interest in this. My kid's going to learn to go hunting at some point. And his grandfather is going to teach him how to hunt. He's going to teach him gun safety. And I just based on, 40 years of life, like I know he's going to 50 years of life, he is going to do a good job teaching my son how to handle a firearm. And that's just, you can either make people scared of it or you can make people understanding and respectful of it. And I think that's part of the problem too, is we have in a lot of our, a lot of the crime areas is that guns are just quick weapons. And there's no respect built up in our culture for guns because we have such a gun culture where guns are like fetishized. Right. Yeah. So people either go one way or the other. It's either guns are the best, or it's like, man, guns are horrible. I want nothing to do with them. And there's got to be a middle ground. Because people die when there's lack of education. Lack of education costs people their lives.
Well, you could say that the reason some people have that reaction of I never want to be near a gun is because of the American culture,
John, I don't disagree.
Fetishizing guns and there's so many gun deaths.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. My kid has to do active shooter drills in school. How great do you think I find that as a parent?
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of somebody who when I was young, we used to have the atom bomb drills where they would put us under our desks.
Where they taught you to bend over and kiss it goodbye.
Basically, yeah. But no, to a kid, that's scary as crap.
To your point, JD, yeah, and that's another thing. And I don't know what the answer is, but
nor do I. I'm not smart enough.
I do know that is one thing a lot of people have brought up is like they used to have gun safety classes in years ago in schools. They would teach kids how to shoot. This is probably back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. But they would teach kids gun safety and how to use a gun and everything, so they would learn how to respect it, like you're talking about. But it's such a taboo thing now. It's you can't even talk about it. It's like, well, no, we need to talk about it.
I do think we need to talk about it. I think we do too. We do far too much of a job of villainizing weapons. We're not holding us. Don't glorify the shooter. And it's like, I understand where that comes from, but at the same, I'm not saying, and I don't think you have to play the mental health card with these guys either. Sometimes people are just evil, right? Yeah. And I don't think we talk about that enough. But I mean, we as a culture need to again, I say this is a guy on the left. Ignoring the problem isn't fixing it, right? Some type of education. I'm not saying it's going to fix everything, but we're the only country in the world where this is a problem. And it's funny to me because these people, Hollywood's super anti-gun, but they're in every movie, right?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, and again, you can't make what's an old West movie without some kind of revolver? You got to have it. I understand it. But at the same time, if people understood things a little bit more, and again, there's no reason in this day and age, like you were talking about earlier, Dave, to have a real gun on set. None.
Yeah.
Make a fake, right?
There's also going back to what you're saying. It's like, so they're supposed to have all these protocols for, making sure that
You
everything's
can have
safe.
protocols, and if no one follows them, what do they matter?
I know, but like, how long does it take to open up the chamber and make sure that all blanks in there?
And I was a pro wrestler
that's getting back to my point about gun safety. Like if you're handed a gun and you know how to check it before you pretend to shoot it.
True.
Yeah.
Here's what this too is. I was reading a thing from a pro wrestler. I'm a fan of Lance Storm. He's talking about a movie. He's an older guy. He was talking about a movie he made in the 2000s, and he's playing a cowboy, and that he has a rifle. He goes, between every take, the prop master opened the gun, said, "Cold," locked it back in, and handed it to him. And he said, "I thought the guy was being way over the top." I'm like, "Is this really necessary?" Turns out, yes,
it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and the Brandon Lee should have taught us all that too. Because that was a gun. Remember, they used the gun, and the tip of the bullet broke off and was jammed in the barrel. So when the blank went off, it fired the broken projectile right into Brandon Lee's heart. Same situation, low budget movie, right? Cutting corners. Prop master didn't check it through enough. And again, there's no again, 1993. Okay, sure, it is what it is. But Robert Rodriguez has been doing digital squib hits since 2003.
Yep.
There's no reason in this day and age. Again, you didn't want to spend the money because that costs a little bit more money. It's cheaper to get the blank out there and do it. Cut corners, save lives.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't save lives, I should say. Like this was bugging me all week. And I think people are going to take some unnecessary pot shots at Alec Baldwin. But how would you feel if you inadvertently killed someone? And
everything I've read, Baldwin has he's destroyed about this.
How could you not be? He'll never be the same.
So yeah.
And he didn't have anything to do with it.
This is so weird that we've taken this turn, but the two things that bothered me the most about this, and you guys know where I fall on a lot of things, and it's just like I don't care what his views were beforehand. I don't care. It was an accident. The guy accidentally killed someone. He's got to fucking live with that for the rest of his life. Leave him alone. You know,
it's the same as when Dick Cheney did that like 20 some years ago, and it was wrong to make jokes about that then too. And
two, all of the news, and I know he's the famous one, is focused on him.
Yeah, because he's famous.
And not on the poor woman who lost her life.
Because he's famous, and it's much easier to call this the Alec Baldwin thing, right?
Right.
Than talk about the victim, because she wasn't quote unquote anybody, right? And she's just someone who worked on a movie. And from what I was told, she's supposed to have been a pretty good DP, like a nice. She just graduated from, I forget what school she went to a couple of years ago. So she got into this later in life. And from what I've read, she had some talent. She was going places.
Yep.
As this case, working with, Alec Baldwin's major star, this is a big deal. This is up there with the Brandon Lee thing. It's up there. You guys remember when the Twilight Zone movie, when Vic Morrow and those kids died?
Oh my God. I forgot about that.
Yeah. The helicopter crash. Again, cutting corners, not being safe with stuff, It's like these are accidents. And I hate being like, oh, accidents happen. But I mean, like, you got to be safe. And this low budget film is going to lose its freaking shirt because everyone and their mother is going to be deservedly fired because there were warning signs and people ignored I can tell you right now. It's the producer, it's the executive producer. They were trying to make their day and trying to cut corners, and it cost someone their life. And the directors are still messed up too.
Well, the assistant director, David Halls, is the one that I was talking about. He's the one that grabbed the gun off of the rack and just handed it to.
Assistant director should never do that.
Right.
Should never do that.
It should have been handed to Gutierrez, who was the armorer.
The armorer should have been on top of that. That's and again, they weren't even filming. It was a rehearsal take. He was practicing drawing.
Yep.
It's
so. Back to Ruby Rose.
But again, that's the same situation with Ruby Rose, though, right? Is Helena Hudgens didn't plan on going to work and getting shot. Ruby Rose didn't go to work that day planning on breaking her neck. So I understand where the frustrations come from.
Yeah, but there's the other side of that coin is there's some confusion if she broke her neck on Batwoman or when she was filming a movie, because apparently she was filming a movie. Yeah.
It doesn't either way, right? There was some baggage. She clearly didn't like what she was doing, and she was asked to be doing things she wasn't comfortable with.
My question, though, in all seriousness, and it's like no offense to anyone, but did she effectively end her career with this move by spouting this out and breaking an NDA and all this?
Maybe. Hollywood's petty like that, man. Look at Mira Sorvino won an Oscar and couldn't get work because of all the Weinstein stuff.
Yeah.
Like acting, Hollywood's a fickle thing. I don't know. It's possible, but I don't think so. In this day and age, there's so many productions going on. I think she'll work. Maybe not in high profile stuff.
Yeah.
I think she'll. Yeah. What's Ray Fisher done since?
I have no idea. I haven't looked at anything he's.
They don't like it. Like the system doesn't like it when you step out and speak it against the system, which is why a lot of people don't do it.
Right. No, exactly. That's kind of why I was asking. Like, be interesting to see where this goes with her.
It's a horrible situation because
absolutely
I wanted to side with Ruby Rose, but then now what's coming out kind of says, regardless of what her situation was, she did not help it.
I think her mistake
to work with. Yeah.
I think her mistake was attacking her co-stars because they're the people that are most likely to back you up in a situation. So when you attack the two main co-stars you worked with, the guy who played your father and the guy who played your guy in the chair, that's not good. You know?
Yeah. These are the kind of the rotten parts about Hollywood, the business part of Hollywood, right? Where it's always going to be a lot of he said, she said. It's always going to be a lot of whose version of the story is the right one. Like you said earlier, Dave, it's always somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And spin is so important in these things, right? These PR people release stuff so they can get the positive spin on it. I do think Ruby Rose probably did violate an NDA, and that's probably going to cost her something one way or the other. But
yeah,
I don't know.
You could say she's in uncharted waters now.
That's a Meg joke. That's a Meg joke.
John with a segue. Yes. So moving on, we did get our first look at Tom
Holland.
Yeah, Tom Holland. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
My gosh.
I almost said Tom Welling. That's why. Like, why did I go wrong superhero? Tom Holland in Uncharted, and I gotta say before I throw it to you guys, like, oh my God, video game physics come to life. This might be the first video game movie that feels like a video game.
Jumanji?
That's not a video game.
Well,
I mean, that's not a real video. This is based on a video game. I'm talking the whole scene.
All right, wait. Laura Croft. There you go.
Yeah, Tomb Raider.
Yeah, but were they any good?
It does. No, it does feel a lot like Tomb Raider.
Yes, but I mean, the scene with the airplane at the end of the trailer was just like him flying, and then he catches it with his foot, and I'm like, yeah, that's something that happens in a video game. It does not happen in real life.
To be fair, I saw John McClane doing that, some similar stuff.
Oh my God, the last Die Hard movie, he was basically indestructible.
Yeah, the last Die Hard movie, he was basically Superman or Wolverine.
Yeah,
but I don't feel like that. I don't feel like they try to stretch the envelope in the video game movies as much. You know.
Yeah, you might be right about that. There's definitely some video game physical logic going on in this thing, but the movie looks fun. I don't know if I'm ever going to watch it, but it looks fun.
I just rewatched Rampage with The Rock.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that that's using regular physics either. Come on. I mean,
that's a monster movie. That's different.
I know, but it's like this is not something we haven't seen before. It's kind of normal. Like take any Fast and Furious movie for crying out loud.
Hey, wait 10 minutes.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Rampage is a monster movie hidden in an old video game movie.
I know, but it's actually and it is a video game, right? But
yeah, an old video game.
I know, but it's still watchable. It's pretty good. But anyway, hey, there's my recommendation. Yeah, no, that's your takeaway from it. But the thing that I saw most online was that everybody thinks Tom Holland is too young to play the leads to play the lead in this.
He's like 25.
Yeah, he just looks young. That's why he's playing Spider-Man.
Apparently the lead is supposed to be older. I never played Uncharted, so I really don't know. I just know that, that's I guess it's supposed to be like like an Indiana Jones guy.
I think that's a dumb complaint. I also think and we've talked about this before, actors don't draw like they used to, but I think you hire Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland to make sure you get some asses in the seats with a
true. But
because you don't know how a video game movie is going to do.
The thing is that the main character's name is Nathan Drake, and there was a serious push on the internet to get Nathan Fillion to play that role because he looks exactly like the character in the video game.
Yeah, but they can't. They're not going to do that because he's older and they want a franchise.
Yeah,
probably.
Yes, because he'll probably look as old as the character by the time they get to the 5th one.
Yeah. Well, with Tom Holland's genes, that might be in like 50 years.
Might be difficult. So yeah, no, it looks good. I mean, if it comes out on streaming, I'll watch. I mean,
that's the only way I'm going to see it, dude.
It's getting tough to go to the theater.
Why?
All right.
Why go to the theater?
I don't know. Speaking of the theater, we're going to take our second commercial break, and we'll be right back with our main topic.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, boys and girls, I know. We promised you for 2 weeks the Lego Star Wars Halloween special. But
we're pushing you off to a third.
We haven't done that yet, have we?
No. But we're pushing it off again because we have to talk about it. Everyone's going to be talking about it. And of course, we could watch it for free on HBO Max this weekend.
Free is debatable. We all are paying for it.
Well, that is true. But of course, I'm talking about the 2021 Dune. And
Dune.
Not Carmack's Dune.
No.
Dune.
So
not David Lynch's Dune.
Yes.
So I did not do any of my normal research, so we're just going to wing this here. So let's start out how we normally start out. Let's go around the room and talk about our initial impressions, non-spoilers of this movie. And John, you can go first.
Well, there have been a couple of adaptions of this now.
2, 3, sci-fi.
3? Sci-fi?
Yeah, sci-fi.
The sci-fi one, David Lynch, and now this is the third?
Yes.
Or was there another one? All right.
Hodowarski never got to make it, but there's a phenomenal documentary.
Oh, cool. So, yeah, I mean, the first one I saw was David Lynch, and that thing is kind of like an earworm for the eyes. It kind of like drills into your brain and makes a home, and it's just so obviously while I'm watching this one, I'm comparing it to that. It was way, I think it was way more. It was paced better. I think it was much more. I'm trying to use the word more. It's much closer to the actual books. Although from what I've heard, I haven't seen the sci-fi one, but the sci-fi one is supposedly even closer to the books, I guess. But it made a good movie. It's just and it's going to be a 2-parter. So I thought it was good. I kind of liked it. It got the mood. I think it could have had a little bit more emotion in some of the scenes. Like they did play it very, very down. And even David Lynch's had a lot more emotional range in some of the characters. But it's a dystopian future, and they did pretty. I think they did pretty good with it. The actors were good picks, especially Aquaman.
JD.
So I'm coming into Dune cold, right? I've never seen the Lynch version. Never saw it.
Give me your geek card.
I've surrendered that in with my anime stuff long ago. I've never read the book. I'm not a huge, outside of Star Wars, I find that I'm not a huge sci-fi guy. Not that I have any issues whatsoever. I don't know. It's never grabbed me quite as much. I did see Hodowarski's Dune, the documentary made about 3 or 4 years ago about the failed attempt to do this movie in the 1960s. And I loved it so much. And I've learned of Dune through osmosis. And I almost bought the audiobook last year. And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to watch the movie. And then wound up waiting forever to watch the movie. So I've been very excited to see this. This is the first time I saw a movie at home and said, boy, I really should have gone to the theater and watched this movie. I'll tell you why. I had a very hard, because we watched this movie for the show. So I was like, I got to watch. I didn't want to watch a movie last night. I kind of wanted to do other things, but I had to watch it for the show. So I had to sit myself down. I'm like, I'm going to turn this on. And it took me about 25 minutes to get into it, right? I'd play with my phone. I'd look around, I'd have to turn the volume way up because all the performances are delivered in this kind of a voice. Makes it very hard to follow when you're watching it at home. But once I got in, I enjoyed, but I agree with John. I find Denis Villeneuve in general to be stunning to look at. I find his work to be just gorgeous to look at. Like, his movies look fantastic, but I find them a little cold. I find them a little clinical, right? And I was telling my buddy about this before I recorded last night. And again, I don't have a connection to the Paul Atreides character. So I was not into it right away when they were like, oh, And I'm like, oh, another one of these. And I realized this is probably what, started that whole thing. I get that. But I don't know. I wasn't feeling the character or the performance. I really did. I loved I liked what I saw. By the end, I was into it. I love the special effects, love the action sequence. I thought Jason Momoa actually is the most relatable and fun character in it, because I do find a lot of the characters to be kind of cold, right? Kind of just, delivering their dialogue and, and not in a way that doesn't show much range of emotion. And I don't think that to chew on scenery, but for me, I had a very hard time connecting with the characters. And by the time the movie ended, I was ready for more. I felt incomplete to me. I get it. It's half a movie based on half a book. So it felt like that. It felt like, well, I only got half the movie.
Well,
so,
better than trying to compress it,
and I
like
agree.
David Lynch did.
And I agree with you. I think that would have been the movie. I do wish they'd have shot them both back to back. So we wouldn't have to wait 3 years to get another one.
It would have made sense to do that, but
I don't think they had the moolah. I think they had to prove that this one would work first, because it's Dune. And it's, a lot of people said it's unfilmable, and a lot of people said that you can't adapt it. So for me, I'm going to say liked, didn't love.
Okay.
It's fair.
All right. So real quick, I did do this while you guys were rambling on.
That's what we do.
Oh, by the way, in the Uncharted trailer, I loved the use of Ramble On. All right.
Great song.
So real quick, Rotten Tomatoes score, 83% critics and 91% audience score.
Good score. Those are really good scores.
And box office, this is interesting. It made 41 million domestically and 182 million not domestically, so overseas, 225 million worldwide.
Those sound kind of low, but it's so warped with today's box office. Those are that's really good.
That doesn't include China too, probably.
I'm shocked at the difference, but is HBO Max not available in other countries?
It is not available. That's an American thing, I believe.
So
those numbers are starting to get skewed because of proliferation of VPNs like NordVPN and stuff.
Fair.
Yeah,
true.
As an anime guy, I am on a VPN sometimes.
I get that, but I get that. But if it's not readily available, that means more people have to go to the theater in other countries as opposed to
which is probably what's happened. To know what the streaming numbers are in HBO, that I'm curious. I know we're not going to get those. I'm just curious as what they were.
Yeah.
All right, so let me paint a picture.
Okay, Bob Ross.
I got up on Saturday, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna watch this today. I actually walked up to the mall.
Oh, you went to the theater and saw this? Okay.
No, I didn't go to the theater. I walked up to the mall to go to Pretzel Factory to get pretzel bites.
I
was all excited. I got myself a Cherry Coke Zero and pretzel bites. I came home, made some popcorn. I sat down and got comfy.
Do you live close to the mall? That sounds like a long way to go for pretzel bites and popcorn.
Yeah.
Well, no, the popcorn was microwave popcorn at home, but
the pretzel bites and the drink. How far a walk? I'm just saying, how far a walk did you have to do?
It's about 45 minutes.
That's commitment. I'll give you that.
Yeah. I walk to the mall all the time, so it doesn't.
Yeah, I just made me laugh. Like I walked to the mall to get pretzel bites to watch the movie. I'm like, wow, damn.
I got comfy, and at one point I woke up, and I'm like, what? And I had to rewind. Yeah,
I get it.
And I'm not saying it was a bad movie, but it was extremely slow. And I have another issue that I'll get to in this when we get into spoiler territory. And it's, like I said, it wasn't bad. I understand it's supposed to be a better adaptation of the book than the David Lynch one. I kind of agree with you. I think Jason Momoa was the most likable character in the whole thing.
He's very likable.
Yeah, I didn't care about the main character that much.
Yeah, that was my big problem too.
I'm like, I know I'm supposed to care about this guy, but yeah.
That was the thing in the David Lynch one. What's his face?
Kyle MacLachlan.
Kyle MacLachlan. He had emotional range in that. He was even though that one was done kind of low key too. At least you got to. I don't know whether it's Kyle MacLachlan himself or maybe this other actor. What's his name?
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah,
Chalamet.
Yeah, Timothy Chalamet.
I don't know. Maybe, or I don't know if it's the direction.
I don't think it's him. I don't think he all the actors were fine.
Yeah,
and he had bursts of activity. I mean,
like some of that stuff. Yeah,
it was just I wasn't like yay for him.
I agree. That was my biggest problem too. is all in the guy they had play Paul. Is I did not find that maybe something will change and he'll have a character. I think it's part of the problem too, is he has no like character arc, right? It's an incomplete arc because it's half a story.
He has no he really had nobody to play off of either.
No.
So this one, right? But now he'll have Zendaya to
his like Rebecca Ferguson a little bit. She's really
she was good. She was good.
She's good.
All right, hold on. All right, let's get into. So if you haven't seen the movie, so obviously you can see John liked it. JD and I are on the fence. You know, like it was okay.
I'm pretty much with JD. I mean, I liked it. I didn't love it, but
I'm John and everything. Like didn't love. I didn't fall asleep. I did struggle that first 20 minutes. I did.
So we're gonna say okay. We're gonna get into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen it yet, and it's on HBO Max, so go watch it and come back. If you have, and here we go. Oh, let me tell you this. At one point, I'm like, "What is going on?" So I had to go do something. I'm like, "This has got to be almost over." I paused it. I was only an hour in, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Hey, sci-fi world building, no joke, man.
Oh yeah, for real.
But so there's a very famous story with George Lucas, right? About why did you start at episode 4? Right, and he talked about he had this grandiose plan for the Darth Vader and Skywalker and whatnot and all these things to set it up, and he said though he wanted to start at what he thought was the most exciting point in the story, and like even though he didn't have chapters set up, he's like, I just called it episode 4 because I figured the stuff the setup would be 3 episodes, and so like that's my whole thing. Well, why don't we just start at like the most exciting part, like so
there's a lesson in writing that we talk about when you're writing a novel, open on action.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a reason for that trope in movies. It's like, action 3 days before.
Yeah,
because
you want to grab the audience right away.
Yeah.
It's like a Columbo episode, right?
But I think it's overused too, because like I think you can do a little world building in the beginning if you have likable characters that people
I don't know, man.
identify with and want to follow.
I don't know. I think the hardest part of Lord of the Rings for me is the intro, where they just luckily the visuals are good enough to carry you in Fellowship of the Ring. But I mean, like again, I'm a character guy. Like I need to feel something for a character on a journey.
So here's I'm with I've never read the book.
John, have you read the book?
I swear I ran through the first book, but that must have been like
long time ago.
Like 89.
Okay.
Back when I worked for Walden Books.
Yeah, I'm just curious because a lot of people.
Time.
It seems like a lot of people that have read the book really like the movie.
I've seen the Lynch version on TV, right? But here's the issue, and I don't know if it's an issue with this.
David Lynch doesn't like the David Lynch version of Dune.
Yeah. But to be fair, since I haven't read the book, I don't know if this is an issue with the movie or the story, but the character of Paul, right? I kind of feel like what they're trying to do here is they're trying to set up that he loses everything, right? And you're supposed to feel sorry for him. And then that's when he goes off with what's the name of the people that live on?
The Fremen.
The Fremen.
Yep, Fremen.
Fremen. Like he's going to go off with the Fremen and live with them and come back as the triumphant hero. But he's the son of like, he's born into like, wealth.
He's an aristocrat.
Yeah. Like there's nothing to connect with this character,
So let me talk about that a little bit. There is this old trope in old time literature and a mythery, if you will, that if you're special, it's because you are born of high stock, right? The idea of the everyman as a hero is a fairly new concept, right? And it's also a fairly American concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well, I think that's why I identify with Duncan more than I do with Paul.
Yes, and I agree. I think and I was bummed when Duncan died. Like I'm like, they're gonna kill him already? What the F? I had to Google him really quick and like,
even in mythology, like you have to be the son of a god or a demigod or something.
Heracles is the son of Zeus.
Yep.
Uther is
Perseus.
Perseus is again something else. Arthur is just a lowly squire boy, but in reality, he's the son of Uther Pendragon.
Yep.
So you think he's just a low, and Arthur's the best example of it because Arthur, we think comes from humble stock, but isn't. He's really been.
Right.
It's almost like a manifest destiny kind of thing where you're born for this, and it's not even Luke. Even Luke Skywalker follows that.
Yeah.
Because like again, Anakin is just poor white trash from the sticks, right? But he elevated himself, and then Luke is also poor white trash from the sticks. So there is a little bit of that, but Luke has a bit of that Arthurianness in him too. But by the time we learned that about Luke, we've been on the journey with him.
Right.
So we've gotten a connection with him, and this is I can't help but compare the two. You cannot help but compare Luke Skywalker to Paul Atreides. Right, there's a big desert planet. In space. It's just impossible.
Okay, maybe you can.
No, I think you can. No, as far as a new viewer who come in, like it's hard not to draw the parallel lines because Lucas was clearly influenced by Frank Herbert's work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Luke Skywalker is especially in this adaptation, because again, I haven't seen else. I find Mark Hamill's portrayal of Luke Skywalker to be more endearing and inviting than what we saw from Paul Atreides. Like he just feels cold, right? And like born, that was my big thing. It's almost like you're born for this, like Neo or something like that. But again, Keanu Reeves has this unique charisma that overcomes a lot of the stilted dialogue of the Matrix.
Right. Yeah. No. And then what was it? The other thing.
Actually, I think I remember from the books. It's been, like I said, it's been a while. I'm remembering, like, I think part of the storyline was Paul might not have been the chosen one. It's his mother that's pushing all of this on him.
Right.
And
well,
setting things up so he becomes this. But there's the idea that's
the whole thing that starts making
for this. But
that's the whole thing that starts making the story more complicated too, where they throw I don't remember what they're called, but like the witches in who have essentially like mind control powers, but they're only supposed to be women. So he was the only boy that was born, so that's
you're talking about Bene Gesserit.
And then like, so they're like, I'm just like, oh, like what that all that stuff kind of, and I'm sure it plays in later down the road, but all that felt unnecessary.
He's a god. Like Paul is, I know this, like Paul is a god. Right? He is a god on Earth, or on, thank you, Arrakis, if you will. So
the reason why I know these names is because one of the very first real-time strategy games I ever played was Dune on the Sega Genesis.
Fair.
which is why this adaptation with the Ornithopters, awesome.
That is awesome. I love those Ornithopters. That was such a cool. I saw like, they're giant dragonflies. That's really cool. That's so really cool.
Yeah, it was. What was I going to say?
Sorry.
No, that's fine. But and then right, so it's hard to connect with him because he's a god, right? Yeah. It's like because even like Superman, like they find ways to when he's written well, they find ways for you to connect with him.
Well, his parents will dress him down, or Lois is his connection to humanity, and through them he shows
where
he's just a guy too sometimes. But Paul doesn't have any foil for that.
And then here's my other question. Regardless of that, like the technology of Dune is all over the place too. What's the point of the personal shields? They don't seem to stop anything. Well. Yeah, like why even make that a thing? Just get rid of it. There's no need.
I feel like it gives you like video game lives. Like it gives you a couple extra blows before.
Yeah, think of it like regular armor, right? Like you can take a few blows, but if somebody hits it in just the right direction, there it goes right up the joint. Your sword, so
Thanos tells him in the beginning, like, "Oh, a slow blade can get through." It's like, well, then.
Thanos. Yeah, true though.
Took me a second. Yes, you're correct. That was in fact Thanos.
which threw me too. That threw me.
What a cast.
So, and speaking of cast,
we had a Skarsgård. Stellan Skarsgård.
It was awesome.
Speaking of cast, okay.
God.
I you know what? I said all the acting was good. I have one issue with the cast.
Oh man, what?
If you're gonna cast Dave Bautista in a role, you expect to see him in a fighting scene. You don't hire Dave Bautista for his acting chops. I'm sorry. No offense to the man. And also, if you're going to have Drax and Aquaman in a movie, I'm sorry. You expect to see them fight in at least one scene.
You're correct. That is like, and again, this is the problem with the source material, is that I felt like again, I think Dune is supposed to be more of like an elevated concept. Again, I don't never read it.
Well, it is, and the Harkonnens, to play a Harkonnen, you don't need a whole lot of range.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. I wish there was. I mean, the fight scenes are, for when they are there, are good. It feels a little Coming to America, doesn't it?
Huh? What?
Like, think about Paul and think about Akeem in the beginning sequence, the fight training sequence. And instead of going to Queens to meet his wife, they go to Arrakis.
Oh my God!
I mean, like, I don't think I'm wrong with this.
Coming to Arrakis.
Coming to Arrakis episode title. Gotta roll the 2. Coming to Arrakis.
Right, coming to Arrakis.
Yeah, I get that's my biggest issue with this. I think Rebecca Ferguson is awesome as Lady Jessica. I think she is fantastic. She's good at everything. Yeah, she was really good in.
She made you feel the fear that she had for Paul too.
She's the villain in Doctor Sleep, and she's phenomenal. Oh, so good, so scary. That's a sequel to The Shining. She's really good. She's very good in everything she's in. It's good. I liked her in this a lot. A little underutilized, but from what I gather, the book, she's even more underutilized. So, all right, you know, the whole thing just feels very incomplete to me.
Oscar Isaac,
he's good.
Yeah, like he was
fantastic.
He is amazing in this movie, and I felt something when he gives himself away, gives his life at the end,
because he shows range and personality. We see, like, Oscar Isaac has a great face where he's able to, you know, you can feel his pain, you can feel his struggle on things.
Yes.
Like, you see that he's this aristocrat who's really trying to do best for not only his family but his people, and he knows
and the people of this planet too.
He knows it might not be the right move, but he's got it. He's like that Ned Stark type of thing. Like, this might not be the best move for me, but this is a good move for humanity, and I'm gonna have to try to make this work. And it's a struggle. And I ultimately I was wrong. I screwed it up. And there's a lot of sympathy in there. Just the guy who plays Paul has no personality.
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem. There's zero charisma. And I don't know if that's the character, the direction, or a combination of all of them.
Like, I wish I could remember the books, like the book. I know I only read one. If I did, it's just been too long. But I mean, given the other portrayals of him, I mean, yeah, I mean, it might be a combination of the source material and the fact that they just, you know, they pulled a Hayden Christensen on him. You know, all he had to do was talk about sand and his hatred of it.
And I have a question. And
there's a lot of, you know,
complete seriousness. I understand where they ended it to set up part 2. Yeah. Like, that makes sense. But why was this 2.5 hours? I felt like there was so much that could have been cut out of this movie to at least get it down to an hour and 45 to 2 hours.
Science fiction world building.
No.
Next to an anime, science fiction is the biggest world building.
When Paul and his mother escape, we spend 20 minutes following them through the desert. Why? There was no need for that.
Because Denis Villeneuve is an art director, right? He is about his shots. He is about setting the scenery. He is really not.
But it added nothing to the story.
Ambiance, I guess.
Yeah, ambiance. You know, if you go to film and like the beauty of a composed shot, and again, this is another reason why I think this movie probably does play better in the theater, right? Where, you know, you have an 80-foot tall Arrakis. You know, I think you could develop a little bit more appreciation.
Arrakis is a character. Arrakis, the world itself, is a character, and so he's giving that time to breathe as well.
Well, I agree with that too, because I think a lot of great movies do that with cities, right? And
it didn't need to be that long, though. I don't think it needed to be that long.
I think it could have been trimmed a little bit. I'm not going to lie, but I get why he doesn't. Like, he tells his stories. He really does. He's an artist. Like, he paints his films as pictures, right? And like, the performances aren't secondary, but I don't think they're as important as the art.
Well, but then, okay, along the lines of the cinematography, your biggest action scene when they're attacking the invasion, but a lot of it's in the dark.
It was at night. I like,
and it's not well lit, so it's hard to see a lot of what's going on.
But that battle did happen at night. It wasn't a Godzilla excuse thing.
That makes sense.
CGI.
No, that makes sense to have that battle be at night. And there's something at the desert at night and making your dash to the desert at night that's very religious. Like, it's got biblical proportions. So I get that, and I think that a big part
Sodom
of this
and
movie,
Gomorrah.
yeah, even the flight from I was called the creeping death, the plagues. You know.
Yeah, but they couldn't have any of those. Once they started attacking, they couldn't have any of those floating lights come up and illuminate. The lamp that followed Paul around. They could have had a bunch of those in the.
He chose not to, and I get it. I mean, like, it's
I
like
think that
watching-
was a poor choice. I really do.
But that's you, and sure. I mean, you can have that. So that's an opinion. It didn't bother me, but I understand where you're coming from. It is underlit. I do like the way he photographs Arrakis. I do like the way the color temperatures are very muted and everything. It gives everything a very deserty feel. I love the sandworm. Thought it looked great.
Yeah, they looked very good.
It looked great. The special effects are phenomenal in this movie. They're very creative. You know, the ships look cool. Like I got
they even got the sand thing right. Like when you pump air and vibration through sand, it becomes quicksand. And that's why people started
I do have
when the worms were near.
I dug the spice, like showing the spice floating through the air.
Yeah, I will say that was a cool effect.
That was cool.
I do have a question about the worms, and maybe I'm the only.
Use the special. You should.
Those
are crabs. Those are crabs. I'm sorry, I was wrong.
And maybe I'm the only one who picked up on this, or maybe it's something that's talked about in the book, but it felt like a couple times there were different sizes. Like when they had the
there were worms of all different sizes.
I think there's different worms.
Yeah.
Okay, because like when they were doing saving the mining crew with the helicopters or the dragonflies,
that's a big ass worm.
Ornithopters,
yes.
Well, dragonflies.
Like that was huge. The mouth was like opened up, and it was like the whole screen obviously was taken out. And again, if you were seeing that in the theater, it probably would have been more impressive. But then when Paul is going through the desert and that one comes up to him, it's like, well, that's not as big as the one that attacked
but they're different
the mining crew.
They're different sizes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I mean, I don't know. Is that something like
they
that's
don't
talked
pop
about in the
out
book?
when they're born? That's there's like I swear I think this was in the David Lynch one where they had a smaller one where they're pumping water through it, right? That'll come up in the second part of this probably.
And there's different sizes.
They pump water through it to give to him.
Big flies, small flies.
Yes.
Horse flies. But it is. It's like you got different sized animals all over the place.
Big puppies, small
puppies, small puppies, big whales, tiny whales.
Yeah, no. It's just usually they don't do that in movies like this. They try to like be consistent, you know.
But again, world building.
World building.
Like one of the things about the Dune series is world building, man. You know, this is heavy sci-fi. This is like Anne McCaffrey level world building.
I think it's like Frank Herbert level world building.
Yeah. Not Robert Jordan though. Robert Jordan will build his world one leaf at a time.
My wife
and every leaf will have a backstory.
My wife tried to read The Wheel of Time and got through like 50 pages, and she was like, "I can't do this. This is
I know. I made it through a couple of books. I was very proud of that, but I made it. You know, it's like, man, I'm going to go back and read Foucault's Pendulum, you know, and Umberto Eco because this is not good.
So all right, so let's try this. What was your favorite part of the movie, John? Right. You can go first.
Thanks.
All right. Well, JD had an answer. Oh,
no, go ahead.
Well, first off, I think they finally it never made sense in the David Lynch one how the poison worked when he breathed it out, but this one did that better. But the other,
Captain America too.
Yeah. The worm, I think the worm when it came and ate the sand crawler, that was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that. Again, like you were saying, Dave, that the effects in this is just amazing.
And that was a character building scene for Oscar Isaac, where it's like we can only fit 6, and he's like, "Well, let's get 7 per ship." You know.
And it was one of the things that actually is the reason why the Freeman trusted the Atreides was because they showed that they valued people more than the spice, which is something they hadn't seen with our Conans. So
right. Okay.
So I can't, or either that or Aquaman got his Hall scene. So
that was a cool scene too.
Okay, JD.
I like the invasion. I thought that was really cool and really well done. I thought it was. I did like the lighting of it. I liked how chaotic and warlike. Like it felt like it didn't feel like we were showing off our scenery at that point. It felt like this was a crash. Smash invasion that moved like a little bit more like a Christopher Nolan war, like 1917. Like I felt like that. It felt like the sci-fi version of that scene to me. So I really dug that. I thought it was the most character Just the whole thing about it. I thought we did so much to build character, and like Oscar Isaac, his Leto Atreides character really makes sacrifices and really is screwed and tries, and I enjoyed that. I really liked Duncan Idaho in that sequence. Like, I think people were really being human in that movie, and that's something I think this movie lacks a little bit, is characters acting human a lot of the time. And this was like, I felt the biggest connection to everybody in that sequence. Again, Paul just kind of is there.
Yes.
I don't feel like he's got I think he's a kid and he's learning. He doesn't have much agency. But when you break it up into one movie, it makes it rougher.
On the first movie, at least.
On the first movie, yeah. Especially someone who doesn't have that accrued interest of the series.
Yeah. No, I definitely, the scene of him sacrificing himself to save them, I think that was a really well done scene. I like the grave scene when you're at the grandfather's grave.
Oh yeah,
and
that's good. Yeah.
Paul and it's the father, and he's talking about him taking over, and he's like, and Paul's like, I don't really want that, and he's like, you'll find your own path. Like that really showed the character. Like, yeah, he's not all about the legacy and the power and all that. Yeah,
that's the most human Paul comes off in the movie. But even the performance is still a little dry.
Yeah, definitely. So, and and then the ending credits. So
you really didn't like it, did you?
No, I like it. It was fine. I'm hoping the second part is better. So okay. So then let's see, what was your least favorite part? And I'm going to go first because you like that. I'm still going to stick with that fight scene. The invasion, I did not like it because of the lighting. I couldn't follow it, and it drove me nuts.
It's fair. Okay, I get it.
How about you, JD?
My least favorite sequence, probably like the whole opening sequence. It was again, maybe I like a lot of it had to do with maybe my mood at the time, but I had a really hard time grabbing a hold of something, right?
Yeah.
Like I had a real hard time connecting with just about anybody on a human level in like the first probably 20-30 minutes of the movie, right? Once I got in, I was fine. Then again, a lot of it probably had to do with me. I'm sitting if I'm in a theater, I think maybe it's an easier jump for me because there's less personal distractions. So I think you can more put this on me than the movie, but I had a really hard time getting into it.
Yeah, I can see that. How about you, John?
Actually, I think the thing I'm most disappointed with is Zendaya's acting. Look,
barely in the movie.
What?
She's barely in the movie.
She's barely in it.
I know, but like it did not set a good precedent. And it's not her acting. I think it's the direction. Like, because they seem to want everybody to be really low key.
And delivers her lines kind of like this.
Yeah, and that's not her.
Is it
like you've seen her in other stuff, and
everything's
is that her acting off of what's his face? Paul.
Yeah, possible. I think they're delivering what Denis Villeneuve wants.
Yeah.
I think that's what the director wanted from these guys. I think he wanted I think it's one of those cases where the source material is so grandiose and bombastic. I think he wanted to kind of tone down some of the performances.
Which is really funny because David Lynch's
did the opposite.
Yeah, and it did bring it to life. I mean,
but a lot of people like revile that movie.
I know. The one thing I was missing, kind of missing was all of the whispering, like you'll see a character and it'll be like the spice of life. You hear this, the was it the off camera talk or whatever voice in their heads.
Mm-hmm. So, I think if you don't have Sting in a metal bikini, what's the point?
Well, that there was a severe lack of Sting in a bikini as well. Yes,
severe lack of bikini in general.
I mean, you're on a desert, right? Oh wait, there's no water.
People are way overdressed for right. A lot of heavy layers for a desert.
Would you drink your recycled urine?
Fuck yeah! If in the desert, I'll drink your recycled urine
with future tech filtering it. Sure,
why not?
It's probably cleaner than the water we drink now.
Possibly.
If you live in Flint, Michigan, what's the problem?
Or actually, quite a few places in the U.S.
No, I'd have no problem. I would happily drink either of your filtered urine to survive. And if it tasted good, all the better.
Oh, those suits probably have a place to put the lemons.
Well, you need a lemon if you're going to drink pee.
give it just. I don't know why I went right for lemon.
Well, you can put lemon in something. If something's a little bitter, you put a little lemon in there.
Oh my god!
There's a place for the Kool-Aid powder to go in.
Yeah. You put a tea bag in there. You just let it kind of sit on your back.
Now you're talking.
Now you've got iced teepee.
So
iced tea. Oh,
I'm on a roll tonight.
Why?
All right, so we alluded to this earlier. We talked about this is part 1.
Yep.
So they haven't filmed part 2 yet? Is that my understanding?
No, it's not even been greenlit.
That's weird.
It's bizarre. In this day and age, super bizarre.
For something this big, too.
Yeah, super bizarre.
Those sets, like, they're going to have to store them, hopefully. And they won't have to rebuild them.
I mean, how much of those things need to be? I mean, in this day and age, well, it's Dennis Villeneuve. Never mind. He's going to want to, yeah.
Yep.
That is weird. I mean, I don't get, like...
It's Warner, man. They can't afford it. They've risked a lot on this movie. They had a bad year in 2020.
Yeah, that's true.
This has to
and it's just
stick a landing.
I was gonna say it would be such a weird way to end it.
Well, if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, you know.
Well,
what happened to Paul?
true.
Oh, he went off to live with the people in the desert, and the Harkonnen took over Dune. The end.
Oh, okay. Sounds like a good ending.
It's like Masters of the Universe when Skeletor pops up from the ooze. He's like, "I'll be back." It's like, no.
or the Misfits and the Josie and the Pussycats at the end. Or just name another movie with like a, and it's coming back. And
I really liked the Josie and the Pussycats movie when I was in college. I did. They were really, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
let's see. It made $223 million. What was the budget on this? It had to be big.
It's a great question.
I don't know. With CGI these days, they could pare it down.
But that cast though is expensive.
Oh yeah, no, right. Yeah, true.
It was,
especially Zendaya. She's like, hopefully she's getting.
It says 165 million.
So they made their money back.
Yeah, opening weekend.
So
that's a hit.
So, yeah, I guess they will greenlit the sequel.
What a boring poster. The graphic design on I'm just looking at it right now on Wikipedia. What a boring
yeah
poster on that like bland green. Ugh. Uninspired.
Need a little Zack Snyder in that.
I see a little personality in it. That's all I ask from these things.
How do you do a poster for Dune and you don't have like? Oh, they do have a sandworm in the background, don't they?
Oh, is that what that's supposed to be?
Or is that a
planet?
moon?
I thought it was a moon. I'd have that big ass sandworm.
That's not a moon. That's a sandworm.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah.
That's a sandworm. You. All right.
Sandworms. No, I hate them.
So then are we looking forward to part 2?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
I didn't hate it. Like, this isn't like by the time I got to The Hobbit 2, and I was like, I don't want to watch the last one. No, this wasn't that. I mean, like, it's a little, I don't know. I think that I'll have a bet. I want to see it again, right? I want to give myself a fair chance to watch it again with a more clear mind, knowing that I do like it, right? But I want to give it another fair chance.
And here's an interesting thought. No, not at all. Does it do better than this? Like, if we're fully back in the theater, we have to go to the theater to see it.
Man, if we're not back in the theaters, if we haven't found some semblance of normalcy in 3 years, it's basically Road Warrior out there.
Oh, it's like Dune.
There's a lot more personality in Road Warrior. Like I felt more range. I felt more range in Mad Max Rockatansky than I felt in Paul Atreides.
This is true, but I'm just saying, I'm kind of curious. Well, we'll see. I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, they didn't do it back to back, so do you still have momentum in 3 years for for part 2?
I have no idea. I think it's a gamble. I'm shocked to learn they weren't that. This wasn't just greenlit from Jump Street. I'm literally blown away because
that's a real gamble for not filming the whole thing. Because this is Dune. They should.
But at the same time, if they film 2. And the first one is an absolute disaster, then you spent money in a movie that nobody wants to see. So I get it. Like, I get why they didn't. That being said, all those arguments hold water.
True. But then the other flip of the coin too is that people like Dave Bautista are going to be filming Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So that's going to hold up doing Dune
true.
2.
Yeah, they gotta write a script. I assume a script is.
I'm sure.
But it's gotta be. But it's Hollywood. It's gotta be rewritten.
It's got to be punched up.
Yeah, that's what they do. They gotta have 10 different writers write one script.
It's not just Batista too. Zendaya.
Zendaya.
Oh yeah,
that and Tom Holland. No, I'm sorry, Tom Holland's not.
Tom Holland. If Tom Holland I wish Tom Holland was Paul Atreides.
I know. I know.
Oh my God!
Some nerd is like, JD, you're so fucking stupid for saying that. And I'm like, you're probably right. I'll take the L on that.
No,
but I feel like he would have showed some personality, and that's my big problem.
That is a missed opportunity.
It is.
He would have shown range.
Yeah,
I don't feel like this guy showed me any range in this movie. I
would have had
don't.
real chemistry with Zendaya too, because aren't they dating now?
Well, we've seen the chemistry. They actually sometimes couples don't have chemistry, but we know these guys do.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen him in 2 movies so far.
So, but Batista, Josh Brolin, Oscar Isaac, Rebecca Ferguson, getting them all together again. It'd be
they don't need to get half of them because they all
died.
Like Jason Momoa, don't matter if he comes back. I almost said Jared Leto. Don't matter if he comes back. Josh Brolin, don't matter. They're dead.
Oh, true.
Okay, you don't need them. You just need the Fremen.
How convenient.
Not for them. They're dead.
So it just leaves Zendaya and
the Fremen. They got
Timothy and
Javier Bardem, I believe, is one.
Oh yeah.
Rebecca Ferguson,
and the Harkonnen. You need Dave Beck, and you need Stellan Skarsgård. I liked Stellan Skarsgård. I did.
Again, naked in this one. Is this like a trend for him?
Man likes to be naked. Who are you to pass judgment on a naked Swede?
Yeah, I mean, you're naked all the time, John.
I am not.
You're naked right now. People just can't see you.
Except on what we're recording.
Superhero speak after hours. Is when the show gets blue.
Supermax,
and Cinemax.
Yeah,
and Skinemax.
There's no way to turn superhero speak into Skinemax. So,
thank God.
Oh God, no.
I speak for America when I say thank you.
You probably speak for your wife too.
I try not to. She scares me.
And there's a healthy relationship, folks.
All right. So let's.
So don't cross your mother, man. I yell. She's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's wrap this up before it gets too crazy. Final thoughts and a score. I know you hate the score, JD. 1 out of 10 sandworms.
I was thinking that.
John, you can go first.
I'll give it a. I don't know if I want to go as low as. I'll go to 6.5. It's watchable. It's not quite a 6, but I can't quite give it a 7 either. So I'm going to split the difference into 6.5 and wait and just completely waffle on this.
Okay.
So you know me. I usually like everything for whatever merits it's got.
I thought you were. I honestly thought you were going to go higher than that.
I was 6.5, like because of the acting, I mean, and not because of the actors themselves. It's the direction, but and whatever vision they've got for the director. But I think it'll pick up in the next one because there's more stuff to happen, and I don't know. I hope it picks up a bit.
Okay.
I always think of these things when we go on a scale of 10, like used to grade in school. Like 100 to 90 is an A, 80 to 90 is a B, 70 to 60 or 70 to 60 is a C, 60 below is a D, and then anything below 50% is an F. Right? That's the way I always kind of do these in my head. So for me, this was a solid B. So I'm gonna go like 8.
Oh, wow.
That's how I think about it. Like I said, I think for me, 8 would be a B. Right? If this was a 5-point scale, it's a 4. Right? That's kind of where I'm at. And again, it was all Paul's performance. That's what really I enjoyed it. I did enjoy the movie. I just didn't like his performance. I didn't dislike it either, but I didn't like it.
See, I'm just tired of wooden actors that complain about sand. So that's what killed me for.
Oh, to be fair, it's been 20 years.
So should they have gotten Hayden Christensen to play Paul?
He's coming back.
I know. Yeah. I completely forgot to.
We should have talked about that. This is that's what we do, but we didn't. So
we'll talk about it next week.
We'll probably have more to talk about next week. Hopefully.
Like sands to the hourglass. So is Dune.
Yeah.
All right. I'm kind of like sitting there going, I'm curious if the second will redeem some of the things in the first. You know how that happens sometimes when you see like the payoff in the sequel, like, okay, I can forgive the acting in the first one because of this. But that being said, it was Paul was hard to watch in this. Everyone else around him, I thought, did such an amazing job. Well, except maybe Zendaya. I don't know. I thought she was good.
It didn't bother me. I don't think she did enough to make a judgment call personally.
But I'm also having difficulty going, is it just because I didn't connect with the character, or was it the acting? So I'm gonna go between you guys. I'm gonna give it a 7.
I think it's fair.
And yeah, so that's where we stand. All right. And for those listening, let us know on social media what you thought of the movie. What is your score?
You should post our scores in the tweet this week, just so we can see what other people think based on what we got.
That's a good idea.
But isn't that giving it away without them listening?
Yes, but give them a reason to listen. I'm here.
All right.
They might want to hear why our scores are what they are.
Oh, that is true. All right. So there we go. That is Dune. So let's wrap this one up with a little bit of recommendations for our audience. I'm excited because I actually have a recommendation this week. So John, you look so prepared. We'll go with JD first.
No, I was going to say, could you rewind back halfway through the podcast? Because I came up with, that's my recommendation. I know I can't remember what I said.
That's on you, brother. I have 2 recommendations. One, if you like Dune, watch Wojnarowski's Dune. Great documentary about a movie that never got made, and it would have been batshit crazy.
Crazier than David Lynch's?
Yes, watch Wojnarowski's Dune. Wojnarowski had a movie where a guy pooped a gold nugget. I'm not kidding. That happened in a movie. Watch that movie. Do yourself a favor. You'll love it. Wojnarowski's Dune. My actual recommendations. I finished a book. It was a prequel to Dracula, written by an author I had a chance to meet at that conference by the name of J.D. Barker and Dacre Stoker, the great grandnephew of Bram Stoker, that was cobbled together from his original notes. The first 100 pages of Dracula were cut from the book.
Oh, cool.
So this is basically what it would have been. And this is essentially, it's a story of Bram Stoker meeting Dracula.
Oh, wow.
It's an excellent book. Absolutely excellent. Spooky, great horror stuff, good characters, written in a style that's a tad stilted, but it's aping to be like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Right.
So it fits and it works. And I loved it. It was great. It was called Dracul, like Dracula without the A. So yeah, that's my recommendation for.
Cool. John?
I can't remember what I was going to say. And I remember at the beginning, I told you I didn't have a recommendation, and then I came up with one, and now I can't remember it.
John recommends Raisin Bran.
What about the anime? What about the anime you kept talking about? And it was
Dragon Ball Z?
No, not Dragon Ball Z. The show, you were trying to think of the name of it.
Oh, Juniper Lee? The Life and Times of Juniper Lee? Sure, if you want to go retro, when it came out, oh my God, maybe 15 years ago. But it's one of those ones that was well scripted, well written, and had a really nice overarching storyline and has more depth than you initially give it credit for. It wasn't just a Saturday morning cartoon. Not that anybody knows what those are anymore.
That's not a thing anymore, man. I was trying to explain it to the kid, and he was like, "You had to wait till Saturday to watch cartoons."
Oh my gosh!
Like, not real. Never mind.
Mostly.
Yeah, we had I don't know about you and your kids. I grew up in the 80s. We had afternoon cartoons too.
Yeah,
those are also a thing.
Nope. 70s.
You got home from school and you had G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats.
That came later. In
Ninja
the 70s,
Turtles
it was,
for me. Yes.
Yeah. Because in the 70s, you only had 3 channels, and if you came home early enough, you got to watch One Life to Live.
Well, I watched Days of Our Lives with my mom.
And Days of Our Lives, yeah, it's like it was all soap operas for the moms, the stay-at-home moms. Huh.
That's it. That's John's recommendation. One Life to Live. All right.
That's just
I played Dungeons and Dragons with Chris McKenna, who was on One Life to Live.
Top 5 dirtiest things said on this show.
That's
impressive.
That is up there. All right. Well, I will recommend that you go to our website, superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media at the top of the page. Comic book reviews by our good friend D Square. And all right, I might be late to the party. I don't know. John said he hasn't seen it yet. JD may have seen this show on Netflix.
Night Court? Are you recommending Night Court?
No. It's not on Netflix. It was, and then they took it off.
I think it's a Peacock now.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the roll continues.
A friend of mine recommended it. I watched the first episode, and then I told my daughter about it. She's like, "Oh, I love that show." So I've watched the first 2 episodes. It is called Midnight Mass.
Oh, I can't wait. That's Mike Flanagan. Yeah, I really want to see that. It's got super Stephen King vibes to it. I've heard nothing but good things about that show.
Yes, and it's Stephen King meets Lost, because like you have no idea what's going on. Like it's slowly building to something.
Again, hell of a filmmaker. He's the one who did Dr. Sleep, like I was saying earlier with Brett Ferguson as the villain.
Basically it revolves around a small town that's on it's a fishing town that's on an island. It's off the coast of like Oregon. And long story short, there's the Monsignor doesn't show up. The Monsignor goes on a sabbatical to the Holy Land, and he's supposed to come back, and he doesn't come back, and this new priest is in his place, it's also really weird because like he's just in the rectory one night. Like he didn't introduce himself to anyone. No one knew he was coming. He just like showed up in the rectory, and and all weird stuff starts happening in this town. And
I got it. Thank you for saying that, because like you're the first normal person I've heard recommend it that's not just a horror nut. So now I'm sold. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And I will say this too. So Flanagan wrote it, or is he just directing it?
Both.
Okay, yeah. So he obviously was raised Catholic.
I think so.
Yeah, like there are little
Flanagan? Yes, that man was raised Catholic.
There are little things in there that like if you're not Catholic, you would just dismiss it, but it was like, oh my God, like, yeah, no, that's it. That's perfect, you know. And there's like, because there's little things the priests do, and some people pick up on it, right? Like, wait, you didn't do that quite right, or this is why'd you do that differently, kind of thing, you know? Yeah.
As a Lutheran, that'll go over my head, but I'm very excited to watch. John, you Catholic? I assume. Agree.
I was raised Irish Catholic, and now I'm a recovering Catholic.
That seems to be the trend line through the Irish Catholics. Yeah, my dad's the same way.
I mean, I was Wiccan for forever, and now I'm just agnostic.
You know, I'm glad. I'm so disappointed that I don't have a joke to bounce off of that. I've never been more let down. I'm like, give me something on a silver platter, and I'm like, I got nothing.
That's okay. That's not something that I don't know.
No, it's fine.
All right. So on that note.
Yeah, on that note,
I think you need to go get your Ash Wednesday ashes.
Is that coming up?
That's in the show. And
I'm just checking my calendar. I'm like, is that really a thing coming up?
No, we're coming into Christmas, man.
I'm not Catholic. We don't do that. And
yeah,
you know when Easter is.
The schedule.
You know when Easter is, and that's
I do.
That's right before Easter.
I didn't know that because I'm not Catholic.
Oh, wow. Well, while JD goes converts, we'll put a pin in it for this week. So as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your kid get caught in the door. Have a good